I got kidnapped one time, by the cops. I was always moving like really low key, like in Ubers and stuff like that. But I was in the wrong place in the wrong time,
and the wrong plaza, right?
I went to a swap meet, and I guess because I have tattoos and I look like a Mara Salvatrucha or some shit, they actually thought I was extorting them or something like that because it was me and another friend, and we were buying some like computers and stuff for his kid, like nothing illegal. And then all of a sudden, I hear a bunch of cops. They just surrounded us. They arrested us. And
what cops? What kind of cops?
They were local cops, like municipales,
Mhm.
municipal cops. But once they checked our phones and they just saw all kinds of conversations we had on them, they turned me over to the state police. They put me in the back of the truck. They tied me up and they drove me to like the top of a hill in the middle of nowhere. And we were just there for half an hour waiting and telling the cops were like, "Hey, come on, just tell me who you guys are, who do you work for, and whatever." And we were like, "Nah, we're nobodies, bro. Just let us go. Like we have $1,000 that we were gonna use for the computer. Just take them. You didn't catch me with anything, whatever." But that he already seen our phones, and like my friend, he was working with some dudes from Sinaloa cartel, and I have a bunch of friends from the Tijuana cartel. So they were like, once they saw the shit, like, "Nah, you better tell us who you are or whatever." And they were like, "Nah, we're just nobodies. And they was like, "Nah, wait till somebody else gets here." And we're like, and at first I was like, "Bro, we're gonna get killed. Like they're probably gonna turn us out to the other cartel, the ones that's left or something," because they took us to an area very Jalisco and we're not Jalisco, and we're not. I mean, I know people, but I'm not connected to anybody. But I have more friends on certain sites.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's shit that get misinterpreted. Like, you know what I mean? Not even for real. So we're just laying there for like 20, 30 minutes in the back of the pickup truck and under the sun because it's like 2 p.m. And we're just thinking, like, my friend is shit scared. I'm actually pretty calm. I talked to this in my therapy because I was like, I was super calm. Like, I was so ready I was accepting, like, and it's not that I want to die. I just like, I was thinking, like, man, I've been living my life the way I want to be. Like, I've been doing good. Like, my family knows I love her. Like, I've been actually, I've been really living like if
that
it was
means
my
you're
last
living
day.
right.
Like if it was my last day, I live like that every day. So like when it was actually looking like my last day, I was like, all right, well, I've been doing what I wanted to. Like, and my friend was he was like, "Nah, bro, like what the f is gonna happen?"
Because if a cops, you must have known when they didn't take your bribe of $1,000. You can pay cops for $50.
Yeah.
When they didn't take your bribe, they're like, "Oh, these guys are working for the other side."
And when he was driving me, I know TJ. I know a lot of, I know TJ a lot. So I could see like a little bit of the street where we were driving, and I saw we drove past the police department that he was supposed to take us.
Right.
And then I kind of start seeing all the other streets, and I'm like, what are we doing here? He was taking me to like abandoned places,
He was taking you where you got bodied.
Yeah, exactly. And in another cartel territory too. So I was like, bro, that's like they're gonna dump me right here. You know, that was my
That's gotta happen. I bet that happens all the time in TJ.
And so I was just waiting for the longest, and then I hear another truck pulled up because it was off-roading, there was no pavement, and so you could hear the rocks and the trucks rolling by. So I hear another truck pulling up, and then we just hear like mumbling, like, yeah, they're this guy's whatever. And then I hear what I heard when I got locked up, and I was wearing yellow sweats. So one of the cops tells the state cops, he's like, "Don't hit the yellow sweats in the face because he's a U.S. citizen." So I was like, okay, I'm not dying because they're gonna beat us up.
Right.
If I was dying, they wouldn't be worried about where they hit me. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, that's cool. Death is not next, but the beating is next. We're not safe. So yeah, so they come and they open the truck of the car, and we're just laying there with our stomachs down. I look up and they're right there, and they just pull us off the truck, and we're tied up. So we're all like, they're just dragging us out. And they see my friend, and they're like, "Oh, I've arrested you before." And bam, they just started slapping him, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, I already know they're not gonna hit me in the face because I heard them, but I like the face down, I got hit.
And so they fucked you up.
They fucked us up, and they took us to another place, another spot they had for torturing, because they have these abandoned places where they torture people.
Yeah.
So they just took us to another one
where they torture people.
Yeah, they took us to another one because we had been standing there for a while, and like there's houses and shit. So they just took us to another spot, and we're inside the truck, but we're looking down like with our face between your knees and stuff. So we get to another space. They pull me out of the truck. They pull me in the back again, and now they're interrogating my friend inside and me outside. And they ask us to unblock our phones, and my friend has that the face,
Yeah.
and he kept doing this, you know, like trying to not. Bam! They slapped the shit out of him. It's like, come on, bro, don't be playing with us. So they eventually unlocked his phone. My shit was digital, so they just put my shit on the digital, and they just started going through it, man. And I always erases my messages, and everybody, even the guy that we mentioned earlier, that you know, even him, he was like, bro, you always erase your shit. How the did they get you with so much? I was like, I always erase it because we're always talking a lot of shit, and it was only like 2 days that I hadn't erased it, and I already had like a bunch of fucking conversations and shit. Like I was selling guns and all this type of shit.
Did you have your gun on you?
No, but
so if you had your gun on you, they probably would have killed you. I would assume.
No, they would have taken more money from me. Because now that I look back on hindsight, like they weren't trying to kill us. They were just trying to get money from us and see who we were and shit like that.
Make sure you weren't the op.
Something that worked for me, like it was good and bad that they saw my phone, because they saw all the shit that I was doing, but also they saw the shit that I was doing. So they were like, okay, he's not.
They could see you weren't
a nobody,
but he's not affiliated.
He's not. Yeah, he's
not a member of
I'm
one
in
or the other.
I'm in a gray spot. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, they're like, we don't want to fuck it up because he might be somebody.
Right.
But you know, we already have him. So what the fuck do we do? You know what I mean? With my friend, the same, because he actually was putting in work for the Sinaloa, like big time. Like he was making money for them. So they were gonna answer for him too. Like, so they were worried, like, and they were actually clowning us. They're like, how the fuck does a Tijuana hang out with the Sinaloa? Aren't you guys beefing with each other and shit like that? We're like, man, we're not even cartel. Like we kept saying, like, we're not even cartel. We're friends. Like,
do you use the word cartel in Mexico, or do you say I'm not with the organización? What word do you use to talk about cartel?
It could be like, no, yo no ando con la gente. I'm not with the people. I'm not with the cartel. I'm not with the organization. I'm not with nobody. You know, it just depends what words you use. But we were saying that shit. We're like, nah, we're not. I mean, I know them, but the homies and shit like that, because they saw some pictures with El Gordo Villarreal, the guy he's like, oh, you got pictures with this guy and shit like that, because he was one of the most wanted and shit like that. I was like, I'm telling you, they're all homies. I was like, I'm telling you, they're all friends. Like, I'm not working with you. You could see. But then he saw some messages, you know, where it was like some real shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Like some gun deals?
Some gun deals, some videos from cameras of like, hey, the government's outside. Let's get this shit out. Blah 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 blah. You know, he saw some names. He saw some shit where they were like, okay, who the fuck do we have? Like, who the fuck do we have right now? You know?
Yeah.
So they found one of my friends. He sent me his address. He sent me videos of his cameras and shit like that. He was like, hey, drop this off right here or some shit. We were having a conversation, so they knew what house that was. So they wanted to go to the house because they thought there was guns there. And I kept telling, like, I don't know, there's guns there. Like, I sold them to them like a few days ago. I don't think they're still there. And since I didn't tell them, they didn't go in. But we actually went to the house, and it was like, because I was handcuffed, and they pulled my head out. They was like, what house is it? They were in the block. They didn't really know what house was it, but they were in the same street. And I was like, I don't know, bro. I never been here. Like, I never dealt with them personally. I always send like an Uber or whatever. But the cop, one of the cops, he like started looking around. He's like, nah, that's the only house with the cameras. So they knew that picture was there. I was like, look, bro, I don't know if the shit's still in there. I don't want to get in trouble, whatever this and that. But that cop was working with the Tijuana cartel. So he sent a picture of me to like their group, and he was like, hey, who's this guy? Because he's snitching on this house. And that house was from a Tijuana cartel guy. So when the cartel gets, they're like, wait. First of all, why do you have him arrested, and why are you at that house? Like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Oh shit!
So they're like,
the people he's working for knew you.
Yeah, they really
you
know me.
Slapped him back.
They really knew me. They really knew me. That's when they were like, okay, what the?
Did they apologize?
Wait, and so now they're like, what the? And they're like, what the are we doing like that? And I was like, look, bro, like, I can give you my gun. I have a gun in my house. Let's just go. I'll give you that gun. Like, but other than that, I don't have money. I'm not gonna snitch on it. Like, there's nobody to snitch. That was my thing. I was like, there's nobody to snitch on. Like, I could snitch on me. I could just take my shit. When they got back from all that shit, and they like got off the patrol, they started making, because their phone kept ringing. One of the cops, his phone kept ringing, and then I heard them when they got off the truck, and they were like, hey, they're calling me because of them. Like, what the fuck do I tell them? And then the commander, he was like, no, wait till we come to an arrangement, and then we'll call them back. So they waited, and then they were like, okay, so what are we gonna do? And I was like, all right, I already told you I can give you my gun, like whatever. And my friend, he was like, yeah, I could give you $3,000. They let us go for a 9mm Glock and $3,000, because at the beginning they were like, oh, we came out, we're gonna take shit from them. But then when they saw that they were like, oh no, we'll just take whatever they
just
give
take
us
the money,
and just And then when we agreed to that, they were like, the cop, when I gave him my gun, he was like, hey, bro, but remember, don't go crying to the bosses saying that I beat you up because I'm helping you out right now, you know? Like, I'm actually doing you a favor and whatever. You know, he was
cops always say that, buddy.
And I was like, look, bro, I don't have no personal. Matter of fact, you want to be on the podcast? And they were like, no way, what are you going to say? That I arrested you and shit like that? And I was like, man, if we're fixing this shit, if we're becoming an arrangement, like, I don't mind you coming in, you know, wear your mask. And we have like a little 5-10 minute bonding of like, we forgot that I was showing them Ed Manifesto's podcast. Like, yeah, there's a guy that does it, whatever. And we just have bonding, bro. Like I showed him Instagram and shit. And then like once we got to my friend's house that he was going to give him their money, they were like, hey, okay, shut up again, and put me back on.
So they took $3,000?
They took $3,000 from him and they took my gun from me and they just dropped us off at different places, like in industrial area. They dropped me off and my friend in another area.